Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, Total Pole Nation. We are live here on a Friday. We got a Super Bowl weekend special edition coming here. And the next guest is a gentleman. I cannot wait to introduce this guy. This is one of my best friends growing up. We broke the news earlier in the week that he took the head coaching position at the Pee Wee League for the Salem Church Cowboys. That was my first football team I ever played for under Coach Mike Harefield. We also had Ryan Parnell's father help out. James Butler and his dad also helped out with the program. And I believe Eric Prendy's dad, he always kind of looked out for us as well. So, man, tell us what's going on with you, Coach. This is Coach Lee right here. Tell us what's going on with you. And, how did you start getting in the business from the beginning, man? What was your influences and everything?
First off, I'm just happy and humbled to be here right now. Football always been good to me since I was a kid. I was fortunate. I always had good coaching. Had coaches that used to take me to games, pick me up. Personally, for me, how I got into coaching was I kind of strayed off the path a little bit, and I was looking for something good to do.
Yeah.
And I always drew back to football. Football was always good. So that's what got me into it. When I first got into it, I was all about winning. And as I progressed, as I've gotten older as a coach, I've realized there's a lot more to this game than just winning football games.
Yeah, without a doubt. And when you played your Little League ball, you played for the Wells Warriors, correct? Tell me about who your coaches were there, some of the players you had influences. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a guy that has won at every level of football he's ever played at. This guy is a winner. He's got the blueprint. It's the Little League football is such a crucial part of kids' lives. I believe early in their years is when they learn their lessons for the rest of their life. And, my coaches were such a huge influence, from Coach Krostick, Coach Sorensen, there's so many coaches. Coach Worley was a big influence to me. But Coach Mike Harefield, man, he was my first guy there at Salem. And, man, just tell me the impacts that some of those coaches had. And please shout them out, man. We got a lot of people in the Chesterfield, Richmond, Virginia area that's tuned into this, and they want to hear all about it.
Well, I'm no spring chicken, so we're going back to like 89, bro.
Okay.
88, 89. My first ever coach, I remember, was Coach Dan Fouts. And that guy has won, 8, 10 Super Bowls.
Wow.
CQL.
And the CQL, correct? Yeah.
He's I coached against him, if that tells you anything.
Wow, he's no spring chicken either.
No, and the master taught the student a lesson for sure in that game. But yeah, he was my first coach. He's a no nonsense guy, man. He really made me love the game. He was hard, but fair, and we won football games. Didn't win the Super Bowl in my first year, but first year ever playing, we went undefeated, played in the Southern Conference Championship and lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion Salem Cowboys.
Okay.
My second coach, the juniors I remember the most, is Coach Sorensen.
Yeah.
He coached a lot of you guys, man. A lot of Salem guys know him too.
Right, but, without a doubt.
Yeah, he used to pick me up and he'd take me to all the Bird games, watch his son play. Didn't realize it at the time, but he went out his way to take me to these games.
Coach, isn't that something to think about, that when you look at it now and you're doing the same thing and having the same influences, for guys like that to just bring you along and tag you along. I had Coach Harefield that would take me to the Shoney's there in Chester. And, we would meet with Kenny Crew, legend there at Matoka. I'm sure you know who he is, and you probably crossed paths with them. You know, those moments, you know, to us as little kids were just, you'll never forget that stuff, man. Those guys generally cared about you, and you know, they just treated you like their own son. You know what I mean? And for them to
Oh,
spend that kind of time.
oh yeah, yeah. Spending time, yeah, and I'll never forget it.
Without a doubt, you know, there's times that, you know, anytime I have a tough situations, you know, there's coaches in my life that I think about because, you know, all of the times that they were there for you and, you know, the influence that they gave to you, you know, their message still runs, you know, as strong as it did when I was, you know, 7 and 8 years old until today.
Oh yeah, I tell my kids the same things those guys tell me. Yep.
Right. Still works.
Yeah, same lessons, different year, but same lessons.
Yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. And from your career, where have the kids? Is there just one feeder school? Do you have kids going to multiple different high schools in area? Like the high school coaches that are getting your kids, where are your kids going to play their high school ball?
Well, at Evergreen now,
Okay,
we feed three schools. We feed Midlothian, Monacan, and Clover Hill.
okay.
So yeah, and Evergreen kids usually do pretty well, whatever school they end up at.
Right. You know, you're the guy that kind of molds these guys and gives them their first little taste of some discipline. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
try to prepare these guys for the high school level. I want them. I don't want them to see new things when they get to high school. I want them to be, oh, coach, I've seen this before. I know how to do this.
Right. Without a doubt, coach. Let me ask you this question. You know, when you get newer players that have maybe never played or played different sports, and then you get them in with guys that have played and are a little more seasoned. How do you transition and get those guys kind of caught up to speed? Is that something where maybe those kids need to take a step back and watch, or do you kind of throw them right in the fire, you know, baptism by fire, so to speak?
Well, I'm a baptism by fire type of guy, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna see how you react, and then I'm gonna base what I need to do off of that. Do I Does the kid have confidence, or did I just kill it? Now do I need to build confidence? That's a big part of you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
big time.
But you
Yeah,
got
big time.
how they're gonna respond.
Right. That's the thing, you know. How do you, in your opinion, how is it that you learn your guys? Because you know, I've coached at a you know, a little older, you know, a few years older of a crew, and you know, some guys, you know, if you bark at them, they just turn the switch off immediately, and you know they might as well be on the sidelines because they've just lost it. They don't have the confidence. And then there's some kids where you know you need to really get after them, you know, for them to start, you know, playing the way you want to play. And then you have the kids that you got to tell them to dial it down. You know, that's kind of the way you were when you played. You were one of those guys. Coach never had to come up to you and say, "Hey, man, get fired up or get pumped up." It was more like, "Hey, Lee, I'm gonna need you to dial it down, buddy. You're you know, a personal foul away from getting tossed out of the game." So, how are you as a youth football coach, man? What is your strategy? And you know, how do you learn your guys on, you know, how to talk to them and stuff like that? Where does that come from?
Well, you got to know your personnel, right? You got to know where a kid can play, what he's good at physically, and you got to know how to approach him mentally, right? So sometimes it's trial and error. Sometimes you yell at a kid and he shuts down, and you go, okay, I need to try a different approach. But we're all individuals. I treat the team, when I address the team, I address the team all the same. But as individuals, you got to talk, you got to know when to hold them, and you got to know when to push them.
Amen.
But it's trial and error. Sometimes the kids got to shut down on you first before you figure it out. Or sometimes you
Yeah,
just need to dig at them and be like, oh, that's what does it for them.
absolutely. Now, what makes a good leader as a as a coach? You're looking for a captain of your football team. Give me some good examples of leaders and maybe some guys that you coached with or played with, that showed leadership. And there's different types of leadership. Some guys can be highly motivated speaking. Some guys just kind of leave it all on the field. Some guys just have that confidence that exudes every place. I've played with guys that were cooler than the other side of the pillow. They make a mistake and they just have amnesia. The next play, they make the play. So if you could, man, I'd love for you to dive into that for me.
Well, I've always been told action speaks louder than words. So I like my leaders to be at the front of the lines. I like my leaders to do the drills correctly. If we're running a lap, I expect that leader to be up front. If we're stretching, I expect that leader to be stretching correctly. Anything that we do, that's what I'm looking for, right? Of course, you need your rah-rah guys. You guys getting everybody up. But me, personally, I didn't need to get up for a football game. Already woke up, my feet hit the ground, I was ready to go right then. But, some people need it. You know what I mean? But for leaders, I'm looking for the guy that's going to carry that torch and say, hey, this is the level we need to be on. This is how we need to do things. And the more of those you have on the team, the better off you are.
Yeah, without a doubt. The other day we had the coach of the Raiders, is it Josh McDaniels? Is that right?
Yeah.
We had his father on, and what he said, I mean, it just made me say, ooh. But he said, with our best players, that we expect the most from the best. And I thought that was just crucial because, when your best players are your hardest workers, everything tends to, kind of fall in line. And it's like almost like a pyramid effect throughout the whole squad. Would you kind of agree with that statement?
I 100% agree with that statement. I had a kid, not this past season, but the one before that, Anthony Carter. He was that kid. He did that. He put that team on his back, practice and everything. He made it to the Super Bowl.
And yeah, when you got to that team, they weren't. I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. You're breaking up a little bit there, Coach. It might be me. You there, Coach? Is it my wind here?
That wasn't the most talented. Yeah, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's good now.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, that team was all willpower. They willed their way to that Super Bowl.
What year was that, Coach?
I was what, 20, 21?
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. And your first Super Bowl championship, what year were you then?
I mean, talking about playing, coaching.
Yeah. I want to hear about playing and then coaching, and then I want to hear how they felt similar and then how they felt different. It's got to be, it's different. When you're playing in the game, you just kind of see what's going on because it's hitting you in the face. But whenever you're on the sidelines, man, you get a whole nother view. As a line coach, I'm always kind of looking at the guys that are close to me. Usually my guy up in the booth is looking on the other side, so we can communicate that way. And, he'd usually just kind of tell me who to yell at, so it was a good combination. But yeah, as far as your Super Bowls, yeah, definitely let me know how those felt.
Oh, never forget them. The first one was Wells Jr. It was my second year, 91. I don't remember who we played.
Yeah, probably Reams Road. They were loaded. I think we dropped your phone there. Coach, I'm losing you, man. I don't know what's going on. You okay? Coach, I can't hear you, bud. There we go. Did you mute yourself? I can't hear you, bud. Sorry, guys. We're having a little technical difficulty at the moment. We do have some messages here. Howard Bronson, how are you doing, my brother? Howard says, "What's up, Coach Spickerman? That's super cool." He said, "You guys are good." He doesn't have that Florida internet. Yeah, that's right. That's what it is. That's what it is, Howard. And also, man, while I got a second, I want to give a shout out to my man, Sterling Akers. He's a wrestler at Dinwiddie High School, wrestling in the 132-pound range. He's got a big meet this weekend, today and tomorrow. We're hoping he can punch his ticket into the state finals. So represent my man. I got a picture of him, man. He's got a beautiful mullet with some cowboy boots and a wrestling singlet. So my man's doing big things right now. But Coach Lee, can you? I still can't hear you. You got anything, bud? Hey, maybe log her down and try to jump back on like we did earlier. Let's see if that'll work. Yeah, sorry guys, we're having a little technical difficulties here at the moment, but yeah, we have a beautiful weekend here, Super Bowl weekend, huge game, Eagles and the Chiefs. Yesterday, if you guys weren't able to check it out, dial back into Totem Pole Nation. We had David Alexander. The Eagle landed with us here on Totem Pole Sports. It was an amazing podcast. Anybody that loved rough, tough, rock'em sock'em football back in the 80s and 90s, that NFC East was a loaded division. You had the Dallas Cowboys who won all those Super Bowls in the 90s. You had the New York Giants with arguably the best football player ever, Lawrence Taylor. Then you had the Redskins who had the Hogs. They won several titles, Mark Rippon, Doug Williams. And, you also had the Philadelphia Eagles with probably the most fierce defense we'd ever seen before. Try to add you here. Let's see here.
Yo.
There we go. We got you back, Coach. I don't know what's going on with your mic, but we got you back. But we were talking about championships, man. Go ahead and dial into it.
All right. Well, the first one, I played for Wells Warriors, and the first one we won was in 91. The Davis twins had just recently moved from Salem to us, which pretty much made us loaded. With Mark, Matt, and Manuel in that backfield, that was tough
man,
to stop.
Can I do a timeout real quick, man? Let me tell you, those guys were just amazing. All three of them you just named, man. Manuel, I don't know if he remembers me, but I knew him back in the Park Lee days. So I know that guy was a tough dude. And when you throw in two guys like Matt and Mark Davis, I mean, those guys were just athletes, man. You could put those guys in any sport. I would have loved to see those guys wrestle, man, because they were just They
They
were
could do
brick.
all.
They were brick houses, is what they were, man. And they were
Yeah, man.
tough. And they were the little brothers with, I believe, 3 or 4 very tough older brothers. So when you're the youngest brothers in a family like that, you're just born tough. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
their dad and mom were just so awesome, man. They just welcomed me in like I was family, man. And so yeah, I'll never forget any of those guys. But that was a loaded team that you had with those guys, as well as my man Danny Browder. Danny Browder, I believe, was on a couple of those championship teams, correct?
well, remember I'm a little bit younger, so Danny was be a second year junior when I was a first.
Oh, okay.
So he was on seniors by that time. So yeah, that was 91. And then it was weird, man, because my minors year, second year minors, we were really good. Then we went for juniors, and we were okay. And then second year juniors, we were like really good again. Same senior level, we went up that level. It's an adjustment when you go from juniors to seniors, man. These guys are really bringing the wood out there. So same thing again, man. We were okay, maybe 4-4. Second year seniors, I'm not even sure anybody scored on it.
Wow.
But I mean, yeah, Ernie Landrum, coach. Coach Ernie used to take us out for pizza all the time, man.
Oh man, what a great dude, man. I never was coached by him, but he was.
Yeah, so that was yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're having some technical difficulty with you again for some reason. But yeah, man, I remember those teams were very loaded, and I never did have Ernie coach me. I know he had a son that was playing, at Bird and everything, and he was always around. He was like the Mike Merrill kind of guy that was always there, and he kind of looked out for everybody. Is how it felt.
He still coaches today. He coaches with Matoka with Kenny Cruz.
Who's that?
Ernie Landrum.
Who are you speaking of?
Ernie.
Ernie, is that right? Oh my gosh, man, that is awesome. That is awesome, man. We definitely got to get. I would definitely love to get those guys on here. Yeah, Coach Lee, I don't know what you're doing, man. I can barely hear you over here.
I don't know. Sorry, brother.
Maybe get closer to your modem or whatever you got going on over there, if you could. Yeah, but yeah, man, that was some loaded. Those are some loaded teams that you played with, and I remember after y'all had won. Actually, I'll dial back into your first year on the senior level. Everything kind of changed. I was at Gates, and my first year seniors, I had played with the Taylor brothers. We had the Mensa Akibalon, and then those guys moved up. I moved up as a last year guy, and then that's when the Skyscrapers finally caught wind and met each other. And I'm talking about Scott Williams. Everybody there at Bird, I'm sure, knows who that guy is. But yeah, he came over to Gates. And then we had a guy transfer from Chalkley by the name of Kent Hockaday. And back then, when Kent transferred over, that guy, his speed at 13 years old or 12 years old. What is the last year you can play seniors?
So it's usually 7th and 8th graders.
But what's the age limit?
12, 13.
Okay. As a 13-year-old, I would have put Kent Hockaday against Usain Bolt at 13, man. I mean, that guy could just move. We had a coach, Coach Law said that, just split out 3 guys on one side and had Hockaday kind of in the back. And all we would do is our quarterback, Overby, would grab the rock, toss it over there, and then, the first 2 guys would block. And then it was, Ken versus everybody else. And, man, that was just an amazing squad. Little League hadn't seen what we were throwing at them in quite some time. And I remember we played you guys at Ecoff Park. and it was a freaking shootout, man. I bet the yards on that day totaled probably 800 yards between us not stopping y'all, and y'all couldn't stop Hockaday either. You remember that?
Oh, I definitely remember watching Ken Hockaday run up and down the sideline.
Yeah, man. And I got my guy Sean Sage checking in. He says, "What's up, my guy, Coach Lee? Want to give a shout out?" Yeah, Coach, I'm losing you again. You've turned sideways on us. Uh, yeah, sorry guys, we're having a little technical difficulties here. We might have to reattempt this. You got me there, Coach? I can't hear you, bud. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's checking with us through MySpace or something. We're having some technical difficulties here, but yeah, I know after that we all kind of transitioned to the Skyhawks, and that was kind of his first dial into the Skyhawks. Coach, can you hear me? Talk to us. Yeah, try it again. Try to get out and then hop back in. We'll see if that works. But yeah, back here at Totem Pole Nation, Super Bowl weekend. But yeah, yesterday, man, with the Eagles and everything, the Eagle was here. It was just great to hear stories of such legendary players, man. This guy snapped the ball to Randall Cunningham, I want to say, for 120 games straight. Cunningham had that one season in '91 where it tore his ACL, and man, that was just such a loaded squad. But the whole NFC East was just completely loaded at that time, and that's why you saw so many Super Bowls come from that division. You know, Cowboys had the run. I believe the Redskins won two in that same frame period and everything. And so, yeah, man, it was special to talk to that guy that was, literally Buddy Ryan's a Buddy Ryan draft pick. You know, Buddy Ryan was a not just an amazing coach, but man, he knew how to pick those guys. He got Jerome Brown, and he also got David Alexander in the 5th round. And Alexander being from Oklahoma, and Coach Ryan spending so much time there, I think those guys had a bond, whether they wanted to say so or not. But man, with the fist fights and everything, that was just some old school good football that we were talking about here. Let me see if we can't get my guy back on here again. And let's see here. All right, you should be in there.
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Yeah, so we just kind of hopped into, after we had the story of us at Gates, and that year, that was my senior year, we ended up falling to the Salem Church Cowboys. That last game, I was kind of sour about it. There was there was some talk of possibly a player faking an injury, but as a player and as a coach, you don't ever want it to come down to that type of situation. So that was our bad. We should have taken advantage of our chances and everything. But man, I loved my career in Little League because I got to taste it on both ends, man. With playing at Gates and then playing at Salem. I did moved out to Nottoway County and played for the Blackstone Steelers. So yeah, man, I had a very fun Little League football career, and it all kind of started in Park Lee with all the Bensley kids. We used to play football. We just used to play football back then and all that good stuff.
I was fortunate, man. I played with the same group of kids from minors to seniors. With the addition of the Davis.
Right, and man, like I said, what a great solid addition that was, man. What happened with that, man? Was Thomas Dale or was Wells playing their? Were they paying their players better, or what was the scenario there?
Well, most all them guys. I know Mark, Matt, Manuel. They played. They were starters on varsity in 10th grade.
Wow. And
Took a lot
and
for them.
right, it's a new era. Guys can do that. Guys can play as a freshman, but when we were playing, man, football was the thing. And if you were even on the varsity team as a freshman or sophomore, man, you were a freaking unit, you know?
Yeah. And, what's crazy, man, is football brings you all kinds of bonds, right? You don't know when they're going to come in handy sometimes. And so all the guys, I met you on the football field. Me and you were always in other little league games. If we weren't playing, we were always at them. That's how the first time I ever met you, right? We didn't know each other that well, but we knew who each other were. And so when I went to Bird, everybody I played football with, everybody I went to school with went to Thomas Dale. And I was in this little small section in Chester this little small pocket where I went to Bird. And I remember seeing you my freshman. I was like, familiar face, man. At least I know somebody here,
Yeah. Yeah, man, without a doubt. And that's the thing, man. Man, without a doubt, man, we've had a bond ever since then. And, when I was playing with Tony and Troy, man, like those were my guys. And, they were a year ahead of me. And when they left, man, you were kind of like the guy I kind of gravitated to, man. Me and you both had that same kind of, hard work mentality, but have a good time with it. And, we loved the weight room, and we were tough kids, man. We were taught by good, tough coaches, and we both had that common bond of wanting to win and trying to do whatever it took, to get there. And people ask me all the time about toughness and stuff like that, and man, I do believe it's a trait that can be taught, but it's going to take somebody that's tough to kind of teach it. And one circumstance I could tell you about is, whenever I was over here at Lakewood, they gave us the JV guys, and man, we had some big kids that had never played before. I mean, big kids, man, 6 foot, 300 pounds, couple guys that they had never played before. And one of the things that I try to teach them and make fun with it and have, make them have fun is what I did, man. I put them, where you couldn't even put a credit card in between their helmets, and on one, on two, and they would go, and it made it more of a wrestling match. And even before then, man, the guys that were real timid, I would just put a bag on the ground and I'd say, look, I'm setting the clock for 30 seconds, let's beat that bag down. And I mean, guys were loving it, coach. They were dropping elbows, dropping leg drops, man. It was like wrestling, you know what I mean? And that kind of built a little confidence. And then, getting the guys, head on head pretty much, instead of that big collision, it was more of a wrestling match. And then, gradually as they get more confidence, you pull them apart, for a little bit more distance. So then, they're kind of used to, those hits and stuff like that. But that was one of the ways that I would do it, because you do, man, you get some kids that, they're just, their mom is always like, don't bully your sister, don't bully your brother. And they're not able to know what being aggressive is. They're always taught their whole life, don't be aggressive, and then here we are to teach them aggressive,
Yeah, because it's crazy, man. You see this giant kid show up on your football field, man. You're like, oh, man, I got me a big old road grading lineman. This kid wouldn't hurt a fly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you're like, hey, I'm on here. But then you realize, man, this kid's a giant. And his mom and daddy done told him, you're a giant. You're bigger than the other kids. Don't hurt him. Right?
That's it, man.
Now, on the other hand, I go out there. I said, don't hurt him. Put him right next to that, though. But you lay a head on him, push him around, be big. Go out there and be big. It's hard to get kids to do that, man. And then the ones that don't get it, those are the ones really can take a game over.
Yep. And it's like, I don't know if you ever heard, there was a terminology one time or, but it was one where, there was a lion that kind of grew up, around all sheep, and then,
right.
And then there was, vice versa. There was a sheep that grew up around a bunch of lions. And, You know, they just didn't know any better, man. They thought the sheep thought it was a lion. It was a lion. And vice versa. The lion that thought it was a sheep, it was a sheep. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know if you had ever heard that or anything, but that's kind of.
You got to think, as a football coach, you're going against social programming, right? Be nice and, polite. And we're out here telling you, hey, man, go that kid on the defense. You have to teach them to be aggressive in the right situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is the place to let that.
Absolutely. Well, tell us what you got going on right now and everything, man. As far as your career and everything, what we got going on, and what later on goals there possibly is. If coaches need to holler at you, is there a social media we can follow you at, or if we want to contact you, Coach, drop that for us if you could.
Well, I'm old. I'm an older fella, so I stick to Facebook. That's what my generation does. I'm told, buddy.
Gotcha. So there you go, guys. Catch him on MySpace, man. He's old school. Check him out in the phone book. You remember phone books, Coach Lee?
I'll be. Hey, yeah. My last name is the only one in the phone book too.
Wow.
Easy to find.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, look, Coach, go ahead and wrap up whatever else you got to say, man. We're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Man, well, look, in the spring, I'll be starting at Salem. And just going to take it from there. Whatever happens, happens, right?
Yes, sir. And you're going to be head coach of the minors there? Sorry, I'm losing you, bud. So go ahead. You're going to be coaching the minors there. Are you going to be the head coach of the minors? You there, bud? Fortunately, I'm losing you again, man. It's been a good conversation, but we just kind of keep cutting in and cutting out, unfortunately. You hear me, Coach? Because I can't hear you, bud. Yeah, I think we're going to have to wrap up, Coach. I can't get you, but Totem Pole Nation, thank you guys. We might have to revisit this. We had a lot of communication issues there with Coach Lee. But happy Friday. The grind includes Friday. I believe we're going to be talking some more Super Bowl today. So just keep tuned in. Thank you, guys. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Cultivate Wellness. Health is wealth these days. The things that you're putting in your body can be the fastest. They can be the fastest medicine, or they could be the fastest, things that are hurting you. So protect yourself. Go to Cultivate Wellness. We've got topicals, we've got sprays, we've got chews, we've got things for your animals, stuff to relax them and calm them down. But yeah, check us out here at Cultivate Wellness and Totem Pole Nation. We appreciate you, and we'll be coming back live later on with a little bit more football talk. So we'll check in with you guys in a few. All right, have a great one, guys.